Back now for an update in the so-called Doomsday Mom case. Earlier this week, a judge ruled that Chad Daybell may be sentenced to death as possible punishment if found guilty of murder. Chad Daybell and his wife Lori Vallow Daybell were charged as co-defendants in the deaths of Vallow's children and Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell. Now, in addition to charges of conspiracy to murder and first-degree murder, Chad Daybell faces 2 counts of insurance fraud and 1 count of grand theft. In Vallow's trial, the death penalty was taken off the table due to a late discovery submission by the prosecution. Therefore, Daybell argues it would be unconstitutional to continue seeking capital punishment in his case. Joining me for another legal deep dive, criminal defense attorney Hector Diaz of Diaz Law. Okay, Hector, before I want to get into these 2 motions that the judge dismissed, I want to back up and have you explain why his lawyers wanted to dismiss the death penalty.
A lot to unpack here. Let's just jump into it. One pretty standard motion in death penalty cases to try to get the death penalty off the table, number one. Number 2, his lawyers are arguing wisely. Lori Vallow escaped the death penalty. We saw her trial.
Right.
Prosecutors, you accused her of being the mastermind over this murder plot and then the actual murders that occurred. So how is it then that Daybell can sit there and get the death penalty when Vallow was the mastermind?
Yeah,
and
how is that fair? Yeah.
And that's what they've essentially argued, that, you know, Vallow didn't face the death penalty in her case, and then Daybell should not. However, as was discussed earlier, Vallow really escaped the death penalty on a technicality. She did not want to waive her right to a speedy trial, meaning she wanted her trial as soon as possible. Prosecutors were really forced to kind of get there to trial, and they made a mistake. They didn't give her the discovery that they should have given her. Prior to trial, judge said, you know what, that's on you, prosecutor, we're taking the death penalty off the table. Daybell sitting here saying, okay, well, great, but I mean, she's still the most culpable. Why am I still looking at the death penalty?
Right. Okay. There were 2 motions that the judge dismissed, and honestly, the legal jargon is so beyond comprehension for most people. So the first one, relative culpability. What does that mean? Explain that.
Again, just in simple terms, that Vallow was really the primary actor here and Daybell was not. Okay. I think in some of his pleadings, he's raised the argument that but for Lori Vallow, this wouldn't have never occurred. I wouldn't have done it, that he was manipulated by her, again, her allure and all these other things that they've raised. And really here, it would be incredibly unfair for him to suffer the death penalty, given that he was the secondary actor in this plot.
Okay, the second one, real quick. The other motion argued it was arbitrary, capricious, and disproportionate in light of striking death in co-defendant's case. Please.
That's a law school exam right there.
Yes.
So really, in simple terms, what that means is if we're going to have a trial, it's got to be fair. The Constitution requires that Daybell receive due process and that this is not equal justice in terms of prosecuting him and then seeking the death penalty. Judge denied these motions, importantly, and I think correctly denied based on the fact that the jury gets to hear all the facts. Jury then decides whether to impose a death penalty or not.
Okay, we'll see from here. All right, Hector, thank you. We've got one more case to get to in a couple of minutes.